Hello, welcome to Fox Sports Lab AFL. Now, finals. We've had the week off, Chief. Geez, you look fresh. You look
looking
relaxed.
forward to a big weekend of finals to go.
It's going to be massive. So let's kick it off tomorrow night. Melbourne and Collingwood. Everyone around town says whoever wins this game is going to win the flag. So there's heavy weight on both teams. Collingwood's form is probably not what you want going into week one of the finals. And then Melbourne, on the other hand, their Brody Grundy dilemma is fixed now with Tom McDonald coming in. But give me your early thoughts on this one. Can we put the form side away and say that Collingwood didn't finish off the home and away? Is it a clean slate now? We're starting fresh?
I think so. I think we start a new mini season now, and I think the week off's done Collingwood the world of good. Defensively, they were poor the last month of the season, but all of a sudden you get back Murphy and you get back Darcy Moore. You get a chance to build a bit of solidarity down back. I think they'll come in confident. I was really interested that he showed his hand, Craig McRae, with the tools. So saying that Cox is going to play definitely as the second big man.
Yep.
And then intimating, could one start as the sub? I really don't like a big bloke as the sub, Dicko. For me, that really handicaps you in case circumstances change throughout the course of the game. So not quite sure how they're going to play it. I think they've got some good small forwards, Collingwood, that they can make use of. So, and given the weather, again, having the two big blokes tied in concerns me a little bit. But I think they've been the best team for the year, and I think they're going to bounce back and show us their best again tomorrow night.
Yeah, and showing his hand with the tools is more or less saying that not worried about Gawn, but we need to have some double barrels going up against the best ruckman in the league.
Yeah, and I wasn't surprised that it was Tom McDonald coming in and not Brody Grundy. I think most of us probably expected that. They just wanted to see McDonald play some good form at VFL level. He finally did that. Got amongst the goals, got plenty of marks. So he'll come in with a bit of confidence. They've got Van Rooyen, who can play the second role. McDonald will cover a lot of ground as a roaming tall forward that'll connect to the to the players coming out of the defensive 50 as well. So I like their mix. I think it's going to be a cracking game. They are chock full of confidence, and defensively, they're right back to their best of these.
Yeah, and that's my next point is offensively, the last 6 weeks, they averaged nearly 100 points.
Yeah.
And keeping their opposition down to 70, like that's your premiership quadrant right there on how you're going to win. Obviously the flag, but you're tipping Collingwood, I'm assuming?
I am tipping Collingwood. I'm not as sold as some about saying whoever wins this wins the flag. I think it's the way that you want to go through the final series. Ideally, have another week off, get into a home preliminary finals, the way to go. It'd certainly be beneficial for Collingwood because that would give Nick Dacos an extra week before the preliminary final. But I wouldn't write off whichever team loses this game because I think they are two red-hot chances to go all the way.
Yeah, and I'm with Collingwood as well in this one. All right, let's go to the big one. Carlton, Sydney. Yeah, not sure where I got off Carlton or where I got on, and I'm a little confused across the home and away season. But this is massive. 10 years, Curnow, Cripps. They played their first final series. Is it going to get the best of them in terms of the first final series is a bit of a daunting one.
It is, and you've got the most experienced finals lineup coming up against them in Sydney, who just do this every year. They're used to it. They expect it. They'll be calm and cool under pressure. But the thing that separates them from, and I've got to say, Digger, you were so bullish about the Blues early in the season. You jumped on and you rode them so hard, you rode them into the ground and they completely collapsed. Then you jumped off them and they started to come back again. So you jumped back on and now you're going to jump off again come final time. You are the worst death rider of all time for the poor old Blues. But I think they're playing good footy. They've got great availability of players and a lot of excitement around them. The thing the Swans haven't got, despite all the experience and despite the fact that they've had a great rally late in the season to get themselves into the mix, their record against top 8 teams this year has been 2 wins from 9 games to go. So they haven't handled the good teams well. They've knocked off all those that they should, all those around them, all those below them. They've been too professional, too well drilled for, but they've struggled against the good teams. And I think the Blues might be able to get them here.
Yeah, I think they will, but the midfield's going to be interesting. The battle in through that part of the ground with Carlton. But I'm looking at the rucks once again here. So do you expect Tom DeConing obviously to take 90% of the ruck and then Mackay to play that supporting role?
Possibly. In a game like this, I don't place as much emphasis on the rucks. It's just about being competitive. We know the Blues are a great clearance team and they score from clearances. When you've got the likes of Cripps and company and Walsh and all those guys running for the midfield, Chera and 3 or 4 that they can rotate through there with really good depth and size. That's their strength, and it doesn't matter whether they're winning the taps or not. So I'm not overly concerned about the ruck battle per se in this one. Now, tell me why you're tipping Sydney.
I love their forward mix. I love their post-buddy look in terms of Isaac Heaney and the lockdown there. I reckon they're really dangerous. And through the middle of the ground, you can throw your 2 and 9 and have won against good teams. Between the arcs, they're one of the best teams in the competition. So I'm on Sydney, and I know you're on Carlton with that deathly look of disgust that I haven't gone with Carlton. But when you put so much pressure on me during the year, that's why I jump off them. And then I'll just jump back on. But I'm going with Sydney, so you're going with Carlton.
Yep.
Let's discuss St Kilda and the Giants. Now, Adam Kingsley, arguably coach of the year when you think about where he's come from and how did the Tigers let him go, let's be honest. The Saints probably haven't got the raps to be in the 8 that they got through probably the last 4 weeks of the season. Everyone thought they'd drop out, but they're here.
Yep.
The Giants are playing some incredible footy. We saw the run they went on along with Carlton in terms of their streak. But are you expecting this one to be as close a game, considering the Giants coming to Melbourne?
I hope it's a close one.
Yep.
I mean, the Giants had to come to Melbourne and beat the Blues in the last round to get in. They did that, and it was brilliant. Maybe Carlton didn't have as much to play for and subconsciously maybe just eased off a little. That's okay. You can only do what you have to do, and that's what the Giants have done. Love the way they're playing. They're scoring freely. My concern here is, and you and I are as guilty as anyone, as underestimating St Kilda. And we kept calling them imposters in the top 8. And somehow they found their best football late in the season to consolidate that spot. And they do have Rossi Lyon, mate. And we know how good he is strategically. They just play in low-scoring games and they find a way to get their nose in front of the opposition. What I will say is they have a very good record against GWS. I think they've won the last 4 against the Giants.
Yeah.
So they're going to be confident in this one. I am tipping the Giants, but I don't think we should underestimate the Saints.
Well, I'm tipping the Giants as well, but just while we're on that, I never called St Kilda imposters.
Yes, you did. You did.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to go to the videotape for that one. But the Giants...
I think you called it a false economy.
Yeah, something around those lines. Yeah, definitely not imposters. Let's talk about Brisbane, which we'll get to shortly, the MCG, Hoodoo. The Giants have lost their last 4 at the G.
Yeah.
You think that is a factor?
Yes, it's not the record you want going in. But having said that, finals is a different game, as I said. I mean, if it was a home and away game, I'd probably be more concerned about it than going into a final, which I just think tends to leave a lot of those things behind. And it's about who comes and just puts their best foot forward on the day or the night.
Yep. All right. I'm with the Giants in this one too. Let's finish it off. Brisbane Lions and Port Adelaide. I just think the midfield here, the stars of Port Adelaide mid, and then you got the stars of the Brisbane mid. That's where it's going to start, finish for mine. But how are you expecting this one to fold, considering Brisbane haven't lost at home all year?
Yeah, I know. It's been massive, hasn't it? Travelling to the Gabba is a tough trip. But as you say, Port are in good form and they're confident. And when you've got players like Butters and Rosé in the midfield that are explosive, that have probably got a little bit more breakaway speed than the Lions midfield has, they're going to be dangerous. My concern for Port, as good as they are, is how do they defend the forward makeup of the Lions, who look really, really dangerous. Now, there's going to be pressure on Danaher and Hipwood and these guys to perform in the finals that we haven't really seen a lot from them in the big finals. So Brisbane have lost 4 of their 6 finals at the Gabba, which isn't a great record, albeit a couple of them have been really close by a point or 2 points. So I think this will be a great game. 2 teams that battled for basically that second spot all year. The Lions locked it down, and that's the difference, isn't it? The difference between finishing second and finishing third is you're either playing in Adelaide or you're playing in Brisbane. The Lions have got it on their terms, so I'm going to put my neck out and go for the Lions to get a home prelim.
Okay. Well, yeah, you mentioned the home record in finals, 2-4 with Brisbane at the Gabba. And last time these two teams met, 54 points, Port Adelaide.
Yeah, round one.
Round one. So it's been a long time since they've played, but I'm going with the upset here in Port Adelaide. Brisbane to lose their first game at home for the year. I love how you roll your eyes when I throw my tip out. It's like,
no, that's all right, mate. Hey, you wouldn't begrudge Port winning this one, and you couldn't say it's a huge surprise because they're a great team.
Yeah,
it's going to be a tie one. I think all the matchups look really good across week one of the finals.
Yep, well, no doubt about that. I concur. All right, Chief will be back after the weekend to sum up what is going to be an outstanding week one of the finals. Thanks for your time.
We'll see how we go.
Thanks for joining us on Fox Sports Lab AFL.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.